Good evening, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. Wanted to talk about the Sympathy and Outrage. Nothing lukewarm about the response to our video for the Canadian expat that's in trouble, and really needs to look again at what the purpose is that when we do a video. Right, when we got up in the morning yesterday, we got up in the morning and we're told pretty early there's somebody to see you, and this is ordinary life for us, and we promise to bring you ordinary life. So down we go, out comes a camera, and we go down to see what's up. This is what we always do, and usually they are Filipinos who are there who need some help, and we do what we can. And normally we're able to help because they're fairly modest sums. We're able to help from our Patreon account, which we give freely. Now, yesterday was different because it was a Canadian expat, and he was in trouble. He said that he told us his story. Now, understand that this is a little slice of life for what is our everyday simple life. So what do? Well, we ask him to tell us his story. We turn the camera on. Do you want to listen? Now we didn't actually video everything, but after we'd listened to the whole thing, Beth actually said, well, do you want to go on video and tell your story? I asked him to keep it a little bit brief because he had told us a great deal, and that's what he did. So what you got was a little slice of life on the hill here. You got that, and that's how it came out. Well, a lot of people understood that it's possible to get into trouble and to be, well, I'm guessing, stuck up the creek without a paddle. It's not, as I always say, it's not for us to judge the right and wrong or the worth of someone who tells their story. All that we do is we sit there and we listen, and then we say, well, this is a foreigner in the Philippines, and this has been a slice of life up in our simple life. And then we wait, and if no one is touched by that story, then it goes no further. But we don't go on begging, we tell you what is the need. Now, this is typical of how it can be. A couple of people, one person has sent $150 for this man, Alan and his family. They've sent that to help him, and another another subscriber has also got in touch and said, how can I help, and what does he need? Well, Alan said that he needed 14,000 pesos, that he had some money and that he needs 14,000 pesos to be able to get home. So that's what you heard. He needs 14,000 pesos, and if someone has already sent 150 and then someone else says, what does he need? Then we tell you what was said, 14,000 pesos, and we have what we have, $150. So we wait and see what happens. Now, it's not for us to judge, and it's not for us to choose and decide and then ask for anything. Someone said, I'm sick to my stomach, similar words to that. I'm absolutely sick by this. It's sickening because I'm an Australian and I'm working hard in Australia, slogging it out every day. True words, and we understand. And then he complained that we're asking. Well, we're not asking anything. We're putting the story up, and as always we say, if you are touched, then it's your choice. And that's what I'm reaffirming here. Now, for instance, we did get called out once a little while ago, and we went to see a family that were in dire need of help. The woman, no point in dressing it up, the woman was on the point of succumbing. She had had breast cancer. She'd had the surgery, but she was prescribed to have follow-up of 8, I think it was 8, I'm going just on memory now, of 8 shots of chemotherapy, and that's what she was supposed to have. The family had been able to afford to have a few. I don't know what it was, maybe 2 or 3 or 4, and that's what she had had. And then money ran out. They had nowhere to turn. They didn't know how they could do it. They didn't know how to negotiate the system that Beth has negotiated very well in the past and got free help for a few people. And then others, we've managed to raise the money by you being touched and sending. So it's a different... a friend of mine used to say, it's horses for courses. In other words, it depends entirely on what is happening, what the situation is, the circumstances, many things. It's dependent on many things. Well, this lady needed the money to be able to go on and do the chemo, which actually was pretty expensive. We were sent quite a sizable amount of money, somewhere between, I'm going from memory again, somewhere between 11 and 13,000, I think it was, and it wasn't enough. So we were holding on to that until the impossible might happen, that the miracle might happen. And for some reason, that story of that lady lying in a bed in a very simple nipa hut somewhere up in the hills in Burgos didn't touch anybody. It didn't awaken their sense of choice as to how they could help. I think, looking back, I think that cancer it's a killer of many things. It kills people physically, but when people hear of someone who has cancer and is going through the chemo thing and all of that, whether you agree with it or not, I mean, there are other cures that are being brought out and talked about and being used, utilized, and actually succeeding, which are not to do with the cut and burn of surgery and chemo. But without going into all of that, the help that was needed at that time didn't come. I think actually it may have been about the time, sometime after, still feeling the effects of the NISA thing, where we raised a lot of money for her to have her operation, and then lo and behold, on the night before, she said, "I'm not doing it." So there followed a big readjustment, and the whole thing was kind of messed up. Well, this lady didn't get it, and she died. And the money that had been sent to her, I believe now that we just got in touch with the subscriber who had donated it. We explained what had happened, and we said we thought that we would just give the money to the family, and he must have agreed, because that's what we did. We always do what we're asked to do with the money that we receive. So it's not for us to judge whether this man is irresponsible or not. Have to say that we hadn't heard of him in our area before this, and then suddenly he turned up at the door. So not quite sure, and actually if we're going to wait until we're absolutely sure about anything, we'll never do anything. So the two people who have donated, we will make sure that we do a video of the money going into his hands, and that you can guarantee. So we thank those who have supported and helped on this, even down to the encouragement and many bits of advice about some presenter that troubleshoots situations like this. We haven't been in touch with him. We haven't done that. And there were others who said that if this man goes to the Canadian embassy, they will repatriate him, and he'll have to pay the money back. Well, he said that he'll pay the money back, and when we hand that, whatever money has been given to us, we'll hand that over in full, and we will try to get him to promise that he will repay that money as he promised in his video. In his interview, he promised that he would repay that money within a month. So here's our deal, here's our suggestion. We'll give him the money that we've been asked to give him, we'll pass that money on, and then we'll ask him, please repay that money, because it will go towards building a house for a very poor family in need. So if you're back in Canada and you're earning good money, think of us thinking of that family. So that's the update on Sympathy and Outrage, the expat in trouble. So those are just some of the responses. A lot of other responses said it must be terrible, understand how it is. Others said, well, he's got a child, he's got no money and he's got a child. Nothing happens in a second. He didn't wake up yesterday morning and suddenly find that he didn't have any money. This was, from what he said, was the result of a great number of instances, events, situations which led to him being in this situation. Whether he's irresponsible or not is not for us to judge. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Thank you for all that you do. You are the heroes. Bye for now.